What if I told you that Vanderbilt's path to the college football playoff might actually get easier?
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton, and joining me is none other than Mike Huesmann from Off-Season After Dark and Mike Farrell Sports. And on today's show, Mike and I are going to be discussing and exploring Vanderbilt's first three opponents and why it sets up interestingly early for Jared Curtis to have a nice little ramp up there. And of course, we're going to talk about, we're going to start with Mike. We're going to start with the college possible, because it's not happened yet, but they're voting on this, the possible playoff expansion from 12 to 24 teams and what ramifications that would have. If there was a 24-team playoff, Vanderbilt would have most definitely got into the field. Do you think they would have made some noise in the playoff last year if it was 24 teams?
Certainly possible. It's tough to predict who they would have played in round one, and you don't know when you're one of those bottom 6 to 8 teams. Are you crossing over with potentially a conference team, or are you conference protected? It's tough to tell, but I certainly think we're looking at there would have been one winnable game anyway, and then after that, anybody can win when you're after the first round. We saw that. I mean, none of us expected Miami to go on a heater and beat Ohio State and Ole Miss last year. You win one, you can keep winning them.
Absolutely. You get hot at the right time, and Vanderbilt was hot at the right time.
Yeah.
I think they could have, definitely made some noise there. Now, with the playoff expansion going from 12 to 24, there's a number of people that love it. There's a number of people that hate it. It's kind of, you either love it or you hate it. There's no really in between. And for a school like Vanderbilt, who's ascending in the SEC, and teams like Vandy, who are ascending in their respective conferences, and also you would have all G6 teams represented as well as as their conference champions. So they get a seat at the table regardless of your thoughts on whether or not they deserve it. That's beyond the point. But to me, I love this because teams like Vanderbilt, teams like USC getting in last year would have been interesting. Iowa getting in last year would have been interesting, the way they played in that.
Illinois was playing well. Illinois is another team like Vandy. They were hot at the right time. Heck, Texas would have been a fun playoff team to watch.
Yeah, BYU would have been a fun one. Notre Dame would have been a fun one. Like, you would have had some interesting matchups in there. SMU, another one that was they were going to be interesting. Obviously, they got shellacked in the year before, but it makes, and I get the argument against it. I just don't buy it. I get it. I understand it. I understand where you're coming from. You want the regular season to mean something still, and I think it will. But at the end of the day, Mike, you're getting quality postseason football, which is what everyone's been clamoring for. You're getting, and I think that you'll have the opposite effect of what people think, even though it won't be as, even though it won't punish you as bad, it won't be as what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drew a blank. Punitive. That's the word. Where it won't be as punitive if you lose. And I think you'll start to see bigger matchups coming back because I think the regular season is starting to become soft now.
That's absolutely yes. And one argument against that I want to push back, and you have people saying, well, if you have an inflated playoff field, you're going to have more blowouts. You're going to have less competitive games. No, we have that now. In the playoff era since 2014, almost 2/3 of games, over 60% of them, have been multiple score games. We're getting blowouts now. That probably won't change, but don't tell me it's going to get worse because it can't get worse.
No, it can't get worse. And in the transfer portal era, if you have more teams that have a seat at the table, I think recruits will see that. Transfer portal guys will see that. And you're already starting to see a thinning across college football because guys are saying, why would I sit on the bench at Ohio State when I can go to Ole Miss, or when I could go to Vandy,
Austin Simmons.
Yeah. Or when I could go to Mizzou, like why would I sit on the bench? Yeah. I can go there and still, if I'm the quarterback, we can still finish in the top 24 and get a bid.
A great example of a guy that would have played out with in recent memory. You talk about the Ole Miss. Jackson Dart was at USC, went to Ole Miss. Well, under this revised system, they would have been a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. And you'll get a lot of that, of guys seeking opportunities at places that are top 25 teams, but you don't have to flock to the top 4-5 teams to have a chance at the playoff anymore. And that's what's going to make college football parity even better. That's the great thing about the NFL. People bang on the NFL because they have too many games. The regular season doesn't mean as much, but you also have a lot of parity as well.
I like college football more than the NFL. I always have. That won't change. The NFL as a standalone is an amazing product. Probably the best product of any pro sport in the world.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because they know how to create that drama. They know how to create parity with their off-season schedule, the way they do the draft, the way they schedule, the way they kind of just it's a monster. It's a $1 billion monster.
For NBA, MLB, NHL, depending on what markets you live in, you could have trouble watching playoff games on TV. For the NFL, we televise the releasing of the schedule, and everybody can see it. That's where we're at.
And it's must-see TV. Like the draft far outrates anything Major League Baseball.
Yes.
It even outrates NHL playoff. It outrates NBA playoff. Like it's a machine. In college football,
and look at both on TV and in person now that they've moved it to sites.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And college football has a chance to do something like that by creating parity, by expanding the playoff field. And the NFL expanded the playoff field to 7 teams. Everybody hated that, but it's been great. It's been even better. Like these playoff games are even better because of that. Yeah. Because you get one more team in, it creates matchups, it creates storylines, it creates things, and it will create matchups that we may never see. And going back to college, this will create matchups that we may never see on a regular basis. Like you could get like an Iowa USC matchup that you haven't seen in ages.
You could see Oregon playing Vanderbilt. Has that ever happened before?
Not that I know of. But I'm sure somewhere in the past it may have happened. But but all kinds of examples. Like, sorry, I spaced there, but like, okay. When is Miami going to play Texas Tech? When is all these random? The answer is rarely. And if you have an expanded playoff, you have a chance, and the right team's going to win the national championship.
Yes,
it doesn't. You could expand it to 130 teams. The right team is going to win the national championship,
and you could get cool regional ones too. Like say in your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good chance within the first 3 years of this, Western Kentucky wins CUSA. They're always in the running. Them playing Tennessee or Vandy would be fantastic for that region.
That would be
awesome to watch.
That would be awesome. Like you could have
Memphis Vandy in state would be that could happen.
That would be cool. Like App State Tennessee, like an App State Georgia Tech or App State Georgia or something like that.
Oregon Boise, Washington Boise. So out there, they'd love that out west.
Yeah. And you have a very motivated G6 team that's ready to compete. Like you're going to get an upset somewhere down the road, and that's fine. And people don't hate on the NCAA tournament; they do that. The 1/16 matchups are sacrificial lambs, but you got that one upset, and everybody loves it.
Yeah, and I saw some people making some comparisons, not realizing if the NCAA football goes to 24 teams as a percentage of overall teams, that's still less than a 68-team basketball field, because it would be 18% of the football teams would be making the playoffs. We're currently at 19% of basketball, so it's not watered down.
Not even close. And my favorite playoff model is the FCS. I love the way FCS does it.
Fantastic.
I think the calendar is great. I think the way they I think you would obviously, if you wanted to do the 2014 playoff, you would have to push the season and you'd have to get rid of conference championship games, which I'm fine with.
And pushing the season in this whole conversation, the stuff that came up with the AFC, American Football Coaches Association, they made 4 recommendations. You just said one of them, we are going to eliminate conference championships.
Yep.
And one of the other ones was the national title will be the second Monday in January. So we will be ending the season much earlier too, which is probably good for everybody, especially when the portal opens up.
Yeah, because that's been a point of contention as far as coaches that are in the playoff, that they can't properly recruit and prepare, and do the things simultaneously.
Yeah, because people had mentioned that, how long the season will go. Well, that's second Monday in January, and then there were 4 stipulations that the AFC recommended today. Eliminate conference championships. Everybody goes from 2 bye weeks down to 1. Most teams were doing that this year anyway. Army and Navy will have a preserved, dedicated window for that game, but it will be flexible. And reading between the lines there, a couple weeks ago, Jeff Monken, Army's coach, said he would like that game to be played on Black Friday. My guess is that would happen, which I love. It's nonsensical that we play Army Navy when we do right now. You can at me all you want in this video, anybody else, and I take flack on this all the time. When we play it right now is stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are going to watch it. They're going to watch it. I mean, it is, you put it on Black Friday, people are going to watch it.
Exactly. And play it at that 2:30 window on Black Friday. No other games going. Well, you can play a morning game in Starkville or Oxford, Mississippi, and you can play Iowa, Nebraska 8 at night, and then you're good because there aren't a ton of games that day.
And Georgia Tech has moved to Black Friday, so you play
I didn't know that.
That's cool. Always been a night game too, so you play that in the night slot too. So,
and as much as a weirdo like me wants to watch Iowa, Nebraska, and Georgia Tech, most people aren't watching both of those games. You know which one you're going to watch, and it's totally decided based on where you live.
Yeah, exactly. And then everyone's going to tune into Army Navy because of the pageantry and the traditions and all that stuff. Doesn't matter when you play that game. Yeah. You play a game anytime, any day of the year. People are going to watch.
And the lesser known recommendation the AFCA made was the minimum number of days in between games. 6 would be the minimum. So essentially, you couldn't play a Thursday game after a Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is probably good. Yeah. And that was probably more for the G6 teams because during season CUSA, MAC, and actually this year the Sun Belt, you do a lot of the Tuesday, Wednesdays. I think we'll see more of those. They'll just start earlier in the season.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they need to do that anyway. I think that's a perfect market for them.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. The Sun Belt had never done that before. And then this year they put it on the schedule. Some people didn't like it. And it's, we're becoming the MAC, we're becoming CUSA. No, our games are going to be on ESPN now. And they never would be before that. So like Marshall's is South Alabama comes here and it's Tuesday night.
Yeah, you have eyeballs, whereas you wouldn't on a Thursday or Saturday. So it's brilliant, if you ask me. And FCS should do that as well. FCS, they should go on different nights because if they want to get viewers, people would watch that.
FCS is smart to do their playoffs on Friday nights. They can national televised.
Exactly. So let me know what you guys think. Every day are you for or against? Is it a good idea, bad idea for the 2014 playoff? You lose the SEC championship, which has been an awesome tradition since 1992. But in the spirit of getting a good, fair, competitive, story-filled playoff, I think you have to get rid of it. But tell me what you guys think in the comments there. Let us know your thoughts on the proposed playoff model 24. I'm for it. I presume that Mike is for it as well. So is that fair?
I 20. Yes. I don't want to go to 16. If we increase, I want to go right to 24 because it's the FCS model and I like that.
Yeah. And I think judging from this current discourse that they're thinking about just jumping straight to 24.
I think so. It seems like it. Yes.
Well, speaking of jumping, Jared Curtis might be jumping into the driver's seat as quarterback one. He's a perfect 3-game ramp up at the start of the season. Austin Peay, Delaware, and NC State. We're going to talk about what that all means. We're going to briefly break down the opponents as well. We're going to do all of that next. All right. The NHL playoffs are here, where every shift matters, every moment is intense, and the pressure is at its highest. Very briefly, Mike, tell me about your Wild. I saw them against the Avalanche the other night. What's that series looking like?
They have allowed 14 goals in 2 games against the Avalanche. That's how it's going. They lost 9-6, which is an American League Baseball score in an NHL playoff game, and then they lost 5-2 last night. So, that first game when it was 9-6, it was close. I think losing that took a lot out of their sails. It's going to be tough now.
Okay. Well, I'm rooting for the Wild because I have no other team in the fight. The Nashville Predators are on vacation, so
they are.
And just like performance matters on the ice, it matters off the ice too, and that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette offers treatments designed to help you get ready and stay ready when it matters. Their top option, Rougiette Ready, combines clinically proven ingredients in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It works fast, often in about 15 minutes, and can last up to 36 hours. And they also offer Go Long, which is designed to help with both performance and control. It's all about confidence and feeling like yourself again. Head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnNHL and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Rougiette, performance medicine for men. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy part of your day, whether you're out running errands, you're getting a workout, you're walking your dog, whatever it is. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy part of your day. And thank you for making Locked On number one. Mike Huesmann joining me from Off Season After Dark. We talked about playoffs. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Let me know what you guys think. We both think it's a good idea to go straight to 24. And we'll, as this continues to unfold, obviously we'll circle back to this conversation as things kind of ramp up in that. But speaking of a ramp up, Mike, there's a 3-game ramp up that is perfect for Jared Curtis. So we talked about in the quarterback race, this is one of the factors I think that is for Jared Curtis, because you have this 3-game ramp up to where if you have a new starter, which no matter who you pick, you're going to have a new starter.
Yeah.
And they just got a guy, Drew Cowart, from the portal, and he's going to be a kind of just a depth piece, a backup piece. I don't know that he's a serious contender for any sort of starting job, but he does. It is interesting that they signed him so late. But for Jared Curtis's sake, if you're nervous about starting him, then this should, as far as offering something where, okay, you have 3 games here to kind of get him ramped up before you have to go on the road to Auburn. And it's perfect that you start with Austin Peay because you're worried about him. Like the biggest thing, Mike, is you're worried about making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So does this 3-game ramp up, does it make it, what do you think about this as having a brand new quarterback walking into this schedule?
I think it's an ideal schedule for breaking in a new QB, by the way. And you brought up this point where it progressively gets harder. That's what it should do for a new QB. You want your lighter games, the games where you think you just have more talent early on. The question I would pose to the way you phrased that one was, are we more worried about the conference or our tougher games? And I say that because I'm almost certain NC State will be better than Auburn this year as a team. But which game is more important for Vandy? That's a tougher question, because you certainly could say Auburn's way more important because it's a conference game, even though I think NC State's going to be a tougher opponent. Looking at that schedule, I think that CJ Bailey, there's a chance he's the second toughest quarterback on Vandy's schedule. He could be third if you're putting Stockton ahead of him, which I don't have any problems with someone doing. But
yeah, that's definitely Stockton and Chambliss are your 2 best.
I think, and I actually might put Bailey ahead of Stockton, it's neither here nor there. They're both good. Chambliss definitely is one. I'm higher on NC State Salty, though. Every year, they're a competitive, high-floor team who are very fundamental. They play well in the trenches. Hey, like we've been talking about, Vandy's been doing for the last 2 years and why they're getting a lot better. That's what NC State's done with Dave Doran. Same blueprint.
Exactly. Exact same blueprint. They're physical. They're they get after you. And both teams will feature a dynamic quarterback. But to your point, the conference games matter the most, and I would be fine with assuming that that's how Clark Lea feels, because it's how you get seeding in the SEC, and moving forward, they're going to matter even more because you need.
And I might have been a little antagonistic in saying that. It might have been for some of our SEC-centric listeners out there that just think everybody in our conference is better than everybody else. That's not the case with Auburn and NC State, I don't think. Yeah,
that's true. And I mean, I don't know a ton about NC State yet. I can't wait to deep dive into them later on to get an idea of what they're like. I mean, I know CJ Bailey's tough, and Dave Doran's teams are always tough and physical and pesky.
We'll get a fun look at their week 0 game in Brazil next year.
That'll be a lot of fun too. So, but as far as like for this 3-game ramp up, like I think when you look at it from a development standpoint, you can make all your mistakes in the first 2 weeks, and the run game and the defense will win those first 2 games for you.
Yes. Delaware is going to be improved. They were good in year 1. Mm-hmm. They're not at this level yet. When they get to CUSA, they'll be a bowl team this year. They might even contend to go to that conference title game. Vandy should be able to outdo them at almost every position on the field and push them around in the trenches, especially.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be your G6 roster versus an SEC roster.
Absolutely.
And Vandy finally has a full SEC roster. They haven't had that in a long time, maybe ever, a full SEC roster. And you know what I mean by full SEC roster, like a roster that's competitive in the SEC.
Yes. Where you actually have SEC caliber guys at your depth spots too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like your safeties are 3 deep with SEC caliber guys.
You have 8 O-linemen, not just 4 or 5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say you have 2 full units of guys that could play at this level and play.
I think Vandy. I was just saying, as an overall for depth, I'd say you want at least 8.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I was even taking a step further and saying, hey, we have more than 8 too, even.
Yes.
And so when you look at the rosters, like there's pieces around Jared Curtis. So if you're going to have this vertically aggressive philosophy or identity that I talked about on yesterday's show, then why wouldn't you just go ahead and throw the guy that gives you the best chance at upholding that identity? And you live and die with the mistakes. Like he's going to make mistakes. And against Austin Peay, you can. Against Delaware, you can. Against NC State, you got to be a little cleaner. You got to be a lot cleaner. And then, of course, against Auburn, same story. And then, it gets you into, Georgia and Ole Miss after that. But, man, it's I think it's perfect segue for him to kind of just develop right into that QB1 slot.
Yeah, I agree. And it's with the Georgia and Ole Miss, you have the opposite end of that pendulum where even if you are at your best, you still may not win those games. So there's a drastic array of outcomes, and possibilities in that, first month and a half. But to give yourself the best chance to win those conference games, weeks 1 through 4, you want to get a little better each week, have fewer mistakes each week, know your assignments better each week, and be ready to go.
Well, we're going to continue this discussion here next.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're I mean, this show is flying by. You know the saying, time flies when you're having fun, man. We're wrapping up here on Locked On Vandy. We're talking about a ramp up here. But with Austin Peay, Delaware, and NC State, like, I think, and it goes beyond Jared Curtis. Now, it's framed for Jared Curtis because that's the new starter at quarterback, and, that's probably the biggest storyline of this Vandy team. But, like, also you look at it from a full team standpoint. Like, if you look at it through the lens of the defense, also it's great because you have a defense that's trying to improve in all the passing categories and even trying to improve in the run too. They could stand to get a little better there too.
And Delaware is going to be a great amp up in that passing game because Nick Minicucci's returning for them. He's one of the better G5 QBs, and their receivers are an impressive group. Last year, they kind of the way I described it on one of my shows on Off Season After Dark was Delaware plays receivers like you change lines in hockey, where they'll just bring in 3 or 4 at a time and shuffle them in and out. And they added a transfer from Oklahoma State and Coastal Carolina this offseason. So they're going to play 8-10 receivers a game and throw the ball to all of them. So defense, especially defensive back wise, it'll be a good test.
Yeah, no doubt. And, and I think Vanderbilt's finally loaded up defensively to be able to excel at that test. But that's going to be fun. But then you get I think NC State couldn't have been a more perfectly scheduled pre-conference P4 test because they're built very similarly in identity to SEC teams. They're not quite as deep as what you'll see in the conferences, but their starting units and a few of their depth pieces are outstanding, and their quarterback is even better than that. And so it gives you, SEC level physicality. It gives you a great quarterback duel for the defense. It gives you a great quarterback to run against. Preparing for that 3-game conference slate at the beginning of your conference play with Auburn, Georgia, and Ole Miss. And then you get, for Jared Curtis, you get an SEC level defense, which I think NC State scheme-wise, starter level-wise will give you that. The difference is the depth, unfortunately for NC State. But it's something where you get the pressure that's ramped up. Like, this is a game that you can very easily lose, that you must win. Like, if you're gonna reach your ceiling, you have to win this game. And for Jared Curtis, that's gonna be a great test before you go on to the road at Auburn.
I agree. Yeah, it's I think you brought up a good point that some things they do that are going to be SEC like, but especially on the offensive side of the ball, their depth won't be there yet. They're going to be pretty good on D, but just their depth on offense won't be there. And on one thing that'll be fun with that game on defense, NC State's still one of the few teams that they're using that 3-3-5. So you get different looks and it's odd, and they'll throw thousands of different fronts and looks at you in alignment. So you just have to prepare for that.
Yeah, and you have to prepare for teams that are going to do that because Auburn's going to do that to you as well.
They are.
With DJ Durkin and Kirby and Glenn Schumann are going to do that to you. Pete Golding's going to do it to you. And then, you're going to get and then after that, I'm not real sure how the defenses are going to attack you outside of that because they're all new. And then you have Jim Knowles at the very end who's going to do that to you.
I was going to say at Mississippi State, Kentucky, Florida, we don't really know what they're going to do on defense.
Arkansas too.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not matter with Arkansas, but unfortunately for them. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of how these 3 games ramp up, and it's going to be interesting with the way the talent's laid out and things like that to where you see how it develops. You see the evolution of Vandy's key position battles, like the quarterback position, and see how that ramps up. And also a brief point, if there is a scenario where you haven't named Jared Curtis the starting quarterback or Blaze Berlowitz the starting quarterback, and you're running into week 1, you can also use that game as kind of like your final test to see who's going to be because you better figure it out before Delaware. Delaware's going to, if you don't have it figured out by Delaware, they can beat you.
Yeah.
And
you, at the very least, you'd be in a shootout, which you don't want to have in a non-con game against a G6 team.
No, exactly. Yeah. And, you need to have it figured out by then because you're just not going to be there from a chemistry standpoint either. So, but there is a possibility that, the Austin Peay game could be the end of your runway for the quarterback competition, which you hope it doesn't get to that point. You hope you have it settled by then. My prediction is that you will, but there's that chance. So again, on the show, we're going to deep dive into every opponent on the schedule. and just talk about kind of what they bring to the table. And yes, since Austin Peay is in state, there might be some govs out there there might be some governors out there that want to hear about their team, and because they play Vandy, they might have an outlet to hear at least a little bit about their team. So we'll talk about them. We'll talk about Delaware, NC State, and of course, the entire SEC. That's that we can just go right here in the Locked On Network to be able to talk about them. So we're going to continue to cover all of that, plus recruiting, plus basketball, what's going to happen with Tyler Tanner in the NBA Draft Combine, baseball. They need a sweep badly to keep that postseason streak alive. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. But until next time, Mike Huesmann, thank you for joining me. Offseason After Dark. You're absolutely crushing it, and I'm going to twist your arm to come back for tomorrow's episode. But and we're going to talk about we're going to actually deep dive into Auburn on the next episode. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see if Mike Huesmann is kind enough to come back for a Friday episode. But until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Until next time, anchor down. Peace.